how can we ensure that the human side of agency, judgment, trust, relationships, the individuals, is maintained in this onslaught of portals, PropTech and AI?
People still want that person to come and visit them. You still need to do your market appraisals. You still need to do your viewings. You still need to be able to negotiate. Yes, AI could do it to a certain extent, but people want to be able to look somebody, in the eye and say, how much is my house worth? Mm-hmm. You can't look at a computer and get that information, because the computer, unless you give it absolutely everything, will not be able to tell you that the wood chip is probably going to devalue your house, although the rest of it's amazing, because that's the hassle factor.
Context well, does it?
No.
By contrast, there was a company, sadly, it went pop, which actually did proper floor plans and proper square footage, identified the way the industry did it was totally wrong. We were losing between 15 and 25% of square footage, or getting it wrong by that margin, because we weren't actually measuring accurate sizes of rooms. Now, if you're paying tens of £1,000s per square foot in a high-end property, that makes a big difference. AI was able to measure every single nook, cranny, corner, and give it. So we say they don't want it, but the two bits. I'm devil's advocate. 2 bits of evidence: octopus, dealing with your energy. People preferred speaking to AI than they did speaking to human beings. And they also, when they have their medical issues, big stuff, medical, they prefer speaking to AI. AI might not have arrived at a point where it can do it, but isn't that the direction of travel?
I think it's the property market is so diverse, and there will be certain markets that AI, you could almost, in the not too distant future, probably go through that entire process, i.e. take panoramic shots of your home, upload that, it gives you the square footage, etc., in a very urban environment where properties just shift really, really quickly, whereby properties are going under offer within 24, 48 hours, etc. How far away are we whereby your database, your CRM, has all the data of these are the ideal buyers of this? A homeowner uploads a panoramic of their properties in each of the rooms, and that can then understand, right, this is how big this property is, this is how much the property is now worth, this is etc. And it pings that out to prospective buyers. An auction property, for example, that type of thing. I don't think we're far away from those kind of quick transaction properties whereby technology can really take over quite a lot of the journey. On the flip side of that, there will be a huge amount of people that would want to, as Victoria said, look that person in the eye. This is a two-way relationship. This is going to last 3 to 12 months.
But doesn't that depend on agents being good? The challenge we have in the industry, we're not trusted. I mean, again, I'm playing devil's advocate because we can all agree too nicely on everything, can't we? It's all absolutely fine. But the feedback we get is people trust portals more than they trust agents. We come so low on the Ipsos Mori veracity index. Many of the agents I've dealt with in my life are basically rubbish. And there were some amazing ones. And I would kill to deal with those agents again. But I go to a new town, and every agent I speak, they write my notes on a piece of paper and then forget to email me. The question is, while I think there's always going to be a need for the human touch, a lot of the industry could actually be replaced by better service with technology.
I don't think there's any doubt at all that in fact, nobody's serious.
Devil's advocate.
There are going to be losers. Any revolution, evolution, whatever else, there are going to be displacement. It's going to be, but what ordinarily happens is it creates far more jobs and opportunities elsewhere. In the other part of your voice of the agent, though, you talked about what the consumer valued most in the agent, and that was about the accuracy element, wasn't it, in the evaluation? By using AI correctly and to its max, that can only improve your level of, and the thing that they value foremost. So I would argue that, as I said, until they're really the robots are here. Focus on being the rock star in the appraisal and the personality.
I think on Ben and Victoria's point with communications, it's already happening with business WhatsApp groups or chat bots, but that's consumer confidence. I mean, I've written down banks versus Octopus. Like, Octopus has said, oh no, people prefer talking to the AI, but there's still a huge section of the UK, for example, that will not speak to their bank on the phone because it's not based in the UK. So as consumer confidence, I still don't like using chatbots on websites because I know it's either Moneypennies or somewhere else. But eventually it's going to be the norm,
You
right?
said it before earlier, and what you're talking about there, I think, is a far more interesting angle about this, which actually it comes down to not a technical challenge, a commercial challenge. We're going to get into the legals very quickly because there already is that AI, and I think you said, it's almost there. We're at the moment we're kind of all squinting a little bit, aren't we, at the quality of the voice and everything else. But we're talking months away before that nails it. So then we're unleashing then the ability. I think everyone accepts, voice AI systems, which we're talking to at the moment, and we understand that they are AI. What happens when those are doing, you said yourself, 50,000 calls and they can be outbound? The telephone preference service is not going to be fit for purpose at that point, is it? Where you can just do it around.
EU regulations stipulate you've got to have a pre-recorded message
Saying what, the whisper?
Yeah, saying, well, basically that you are talking to an AI sort of chatbot. I mean, we often talk, Chris and I, the race for real. We've done some work in the video space with a program called Synesthesia, where I set up in a nicely lit room. Everyone knows about it. Have a look at it. It's fun to use, but you pre-recorded script for 5 minutes. It mimics. Now it looks like me, but it doesn't. It's got my voice, but it mispronounces certain words. Now we think that.
Pay for the bill.
Always get that one wrong. But in terms of going back to one of the biggest factors was trusting a human element with your biggest asset. Actually, if you're doing heavy lifting and pumping out loads of videos for market reports, FAQ videos, for example, that's great until your potential client actually meets you in real life. And then they think, oh, you're not like you on your videos. So is that a massive distrust thing? And actually now they want to full circle and just deal with real people all the time because they don't trust the robots. But
Vinyl's dead. Not.
well, yeah.
So agents increasingly want AI to provide insight, not just output. Automated valuation reports, lead matching, predictive marketing analysis. What's holding this next phase of intelligence back? Or are we there?
I think we're already there. Everything on that list is already being done by AI. I think to some extent it's a matter of time and just waiting for the things to filter through and happen.
But isn't it interesting that agents don't think it is? This is
They
what
don't know the suppliers.
they're asking for this, thinking it's not there, and you're saying
is.
quite clearly it is
I've seen
there.
it, yeah.
That's interesting. It's an awareness problem again.
I've seen agents using AI tools where they come in the morning and 50 of their inquiries have been turned into 10 viewings. And there's currently tech being worked on so that rather than just having 10 viewings booked in, they can view virtual tours online as part of that process and come into deposits put down on properties.
It's Ben's point though, isn't it, actually, is that because these ones are a little bit more in that sort of that technical realm still even there, so you have to go to an expert to do the right prompts and to get the most out of it, because somebody like me, I just wouldn't get a tenth of what these ones are doing. So until the people within the industry are rolling out those kind of tools for estate agents, that's what I think we're waiting for until we see the big adoption. But you see the way the curve's going there. So they've moved from, as you said, what was it, 44% of people using AI last year to 83% now. But again, that demographic of what percentage of AI will be about the simple stuff, that penetration of the more complicated things you've got in here, that'll be fascinating in 2026 ones, when I'll definitely be back for the third year in a row for a record.
I'll see you there.
I look forward to the sponsorship check. Conscious time benefit of our viewers is, if there's one thing people can take away to think about when it comes to AI, to put AI in their business, what is it?
I would say think about where do you spend your time? Break down your week between you and your team. Look at how much time is spent doing certain tasks and ask yourself the question, could that be automated?
Mark?
Can we circle back around to that?
Simon?
Talk to the experts, follow the experts within the industry. So, the Mal from Model Prop is obviously out there doing fantastically interesting stuff. He's sent some really interesting stuff. Ben from Starbury's amazing. We do AI consultancy sessions, listening around your challenges there. So just get informed around that side of things. Love your idea there. We always advise people to look at their business and see what they're doing. What they're doing well, what they're doing well, and then understand, is that a human resource issue that you need to take on? Is that something the existing tech can do through the providers, or is that something that AI potentially could do? And there will be a solution out there on all of those points.
I mean, I'd say treat it like PropTech. Maybe introduce 2 or 3 pieces of AI into the business in the year. So your team, you can get buy-in from the team, you can enable training. And these guys that are providing these bits, I mean, like you said before, I always joke with my dad, have you Googled it? Have you YouTubed it? Because that will show you, have you ChatGPT'd it? And asked it, what does it think of this? Put your website through it. And, there's so many things that people don't use it for, but let's be interested next year.
Victoria?
I think AI, PropTech, they come hand in hand now, and seeing so many new startups coming up, through Glue-Dog and Kerfuffle and various others. But it's exciting what is coming and what is now available. But you can look at your CRM as a first stop. How many CRMs are out there are filled with thousands and thousands and thousands of vendors, buyers, landlords, tenants, and none of them are getting a call on a regular basis. So why not use AI to filter those out so you've got your 70 buyers that you should be calling on a regular basis, and out of that you've got 20 hot buyers that you should be calling daily. It can focus the mind and focus the productivity.
You should be able to use AI to say which of the vendors I haven't spoken to in my database, and literally a voice made there, and it throws that back to you, shouldn't it?
Based on the fact that 2/3 of large companies, of many companies' customers are already in their database.
Yeah.
Mark?
I would talk to the people building AI in the industry, because there's some really intelligent, extremely intelligent people building AI, and at the moment they're trying to work with agents and understand their processes and try and plug in AI into their businesses. You'll get bespoke AI built for you. Working with these AI companies, they need the agents to tell them, they need to work with the agents to figure out how to best deploy AI. So I think book calls with these AI companies and get
Be part of the process.
an advantage by being first.
And I think you can also use, we've harked on about training and everything today. Use the quiet times of the year when the market's quiet to do that training, to do that research. And it might be that you do the research in the summer and then train them in the winter when it's quiet again.
Someone said a few thousand years ago they feared the concept of writing because it would actually make people less stupid because we wouldn't remember stuff. Someone said radio would never catch on. Someone said TV would never catch on. Someone said personal computers would never catch on. Someone said the internet would never catch on. Someone said social media would never catch on. Where are we today? As I said in a presentation a few weeks ago, with a mobile phone and AI, you've probably never been more powerful than you are today as an individual.
Yeah.
Use that, embrace it, ride the wave, don't drown by it. And if I have one fear, it's not artificial intelligence, it's natural stupidity.